Good morning. Welcome in. This update presented by Staples Stores. We're going to start off with the Padres. Yes, we are. They drop another game as they lose to the Orioles 4-1 last night at Petco Park. First time in 25 games that Petco Park wasn't sold out. Padres fall to 6.5 games out of the postseason at this point. A few big NFL signings yesterday. Free agent running backs Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott both find their new teams. Cook landing with the New York Jets on a one-year deal worth up to $8.6 million. Zeke Elliott, he's going to be with the Patriots on a one-year deal that can be worth up to $6 million. An incredibly sad story out of the NFL yesterday is 28-year-old former Seahawk running back Alex Collins. He's died after a motorcycle accident on Sunday in Florida. Police are investigating the traffic accident. Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school. Right now, 2 pocket poly folders and an 8-pack of Staples #2 pencils, just 50 cents each. Offer ends 8/26. Pricing and limits may vary in-store and online. School on, save on at Staples. Some nonsense, but like the fun kind.
No. Mhm, mhm.
Hear from you on Instagram and TikTok. Again, Big Rich TD Fletch on those outlets as well. The thing is, people are tired of hearing about all the negative things about the Padres. The unfortunate reality is there aren't very many positives when it comes to the Padres lately. So our only recourse is to talk about them less. And as a result, we're going to talk about them less today than we've had in recent days and recent weeks, because I got yesterday, I turned on this game hopeful, this 4-1 loss to the Orioles.
Mhm.
And again, I don't know what I'm hoping for. I mean, they're telling us who they are over and over again. The Padres season is just about over unless something crazy happens, unless a complete reversal of mood or attitude. I mean, it's like dead men walking. We're just watching an inevitability.
That did feel better, I gotta say.
Yeah,
It did. Yeah.
It's time. It's time for the NFL. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's unfortunate about last night is, yes, Juan Soto gets hit in the nuts, which that looked like it really hurt.
Yes, it did.
I felt bad for him immediately. But also, it was just everything that we thought was coming came last night. This was the first time in 25 games Petco Park wasn't sold out. And look, that's a hell of a sellout streak for the Padres. It's a franchise record by far. In fact, they've smashed the record for most people to walk through the gates at Petco Park in its history this year, and they smashed it. It's not even close. And that's what's kind of unfortunate about all this, because if you guys remember, probably a month before the trade deadline, when the Padres were starting to trend in a bad way, and we started talking about what they should do with the trade deadline, we kind of said, the Padres are on a track to be something worse than a not postseason team. They're on track to be something worse than not the biggest financial disaster in MLB history. They're on track to be irrelevant. And if that's where we're going here in San Diego, that's a dangerous spot for the Padres to be in after Peter Seidler spent all that money.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough. It's once again, I mean, it's mathematically, no, they're not eliminated, but are they eliminated in heart and spirit? Sure feels like it. And what was it? I don't know, 5th inning, I think, that Orioles went up 4-0, and I went, it's over. I mean, that's terrible. It's a terrible feeling to be in when you're looking at this team with this lineup that should be able to just go out there and smash, and they're at home. I mean, there are so many things that I should feel like, oh, no problem, they can come back and do this, and they don't, and they haven't, and here they are I mean, just an absolute, I'd say collapse after the trade deadline, but they've never had anything built up big enough to where you would call it a collapse.
Yeah,
at this
last
point.
night was the same story. It was a not good pitcher for the Orioles who's been struggling all year, and he comes out and looks like a Cy Young candidate against the Padres, who as soon as they get down in the game, you feel like it's over.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about them anymore.
Yeah, I think everybody's starting to feel that way. It's like beating a dead horse. It's like you feel bad, so why do you keep going back to it? It's like visiting the girlfriend that becomes the ex-girlfriend that you move on from the relationship and you go, yeah, why did I hang around so long? It was abusive. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it sort of feels like turning on Padres games at this point. It's a form of self-abuse or a form of insanity. That old cliched definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and over again, expecting different results. Well, the results are the same every time I turn on the Padres. I walk away from the game going, oh, they had a chance. They couldn't come up clutch. Oh, they had a lead. They blew the lead. Oh, it looked like this was going to be a strong series for them, and they find a way to foil it again. And it's really upsetting, and I don't know why I keep doing it to myself.
Well, you keep doing it to yourself because you hold on to a little bit of hope. It's because you've seen moments that you went, there's the team that this is supposed to be. There's the talent that shows up. I mean, they have games where they come out and they absolutely crush, these 13-1, 11-1 games that you go, okay, there we go. That's the team that is supposed to be here all season long. And then they let you down. And if you're talking about fans starting to go, okay, maybe we're over this, maybe we're done. That's a testament of 25 home games in a row being sold out. And last night wasn't. Now I know it's a Monday game. It's the Orioles, but 25 home games in a row sold out until last night.
Trev, you're so right, because their run differential is still really good, which make sense, because it doesn't. But they do have games where it's a different team. And then they have games like last night, which has been the team this year. I promise you the conversation is coming, and it's coming probably sooner than later, within the next month, I would say, if this trend continues, of what are we doing next year? What are the San Diego Padres doing next year? Because you can't hold on to everybody, and you can't excuse that going into next season of just running it back the same way, because if you've seen a full 162 out of it, what makes you think next year is going to be any different?
I'll give you one source of optimism to finish this part of the conversation before we move on to some relevant sound of a former Padre who came out against the front office. But first, like the reason why you can remain optimistic about this season is because if you believe that they are the team that you just pointed out, the team that scores a whole bunch of runs all at once in a waterfall, an avalanche of offense, well, their remaining schedule is 43 games. And they have 7 against the Giants, 4 against the D-backs, 3 apiece against the Phillies and Marlins and Brewers, all teams that they're trying to leapfrog for a wild card spot. So if you look at it from this standpoint, as long as they are good against the competition that is meaningful for them to advance in the wild card rankings, well, then all of a sudden you can sort of squint and see that they still have a chance. But when I say squint, I mean it feels like we're miles away from outcomes.
Can I give you the worst stat of the Padres all season?
Yeah.
And this is actually a stat that I think you can kind of point directly to Bob Melvin at. So this is following, what would that be? Sunday's 5-4 loss to Arizona. The Padres are now 6-19 in games decided by 1 run this season. That would be the worst record in 1-run games by a Major League Baseball team in a season since 1935, when the Boston Braves went 7-31.
Wow.
But why do you blame Bob Melvin?
Late game management. I think if Bob Melvin, we talked about this yesterday, how much control he really has over the team. And I don't know. I'm saying that if this is one thing you can actually point to Bob Melvin, it's bullpen. It's managing a bullpen in close games, leaving guys in too long, pulling guys out too early. But I also don't necessarily put that on Melvin because it's roster construction.
Well, yeah, I just don't put a lot of this on Melvin at all because, I mean, regardless of who he puts in the games, these bullpen arms give up runs. I mean, it's like it doesn't even matter. Sometimes he's making the switch at the right time, but the arm he puts in there just automatically gives up a run, or the hitter clears the bases for an RBI, a 2 RBI single, and all of a sudden you lose those games. look, I understand the frustration in general, but I don't understand the ire or the frustration that's aimed directly at Bob Melvin from anybody, because frankly, I mean, who would do a better job? Like, I mean, name the manager who you could say, yeah, no, that's the guy. Is it Dave Roberts? I mean, Dave Roberts has been absolutely shellacked over the course of his career with criticisms for his bullpen management and his late game management with the Dodgers. This is such a common refrain from fan bases. It's the players, it's the roster construction. AJ Preller is as responsible for all of this as the players themselves. Bob Melvin will be scapegoated. And the same way I said this about Jace Tingler or Andy Green before him, these guys are not the problems. It's either the players or the way the roster is constructed. It's certainly not Peter Seidler, because this guy basically opened his checkbook and said, what do we need? I still think a statue should be built outside of Petco Park for the owner of the Padres, but I digress. Look, the front office recently took a different kind of shot, one that we haven't heard from many former players. Austin Hedges, for those who don't know, used to be a catcher of the future for the Padres. He was traded away. So there may be axes to grind here. So let's put that into context. He was talking about Eric Hosmer on the Chris Rose podcast. And he was talking about the way Eric Hosmer, the whole situation with his trade was handled in San Diego. Here's what Hedges had to say.
Yeah, it's terrible how they treated him there. Absolutely terrible. They just didn't understand what they had. And if you ask any of his teammates there throughout that whole time, 100% of the ones that I've talked to would say the exact same thing I'm saying right now. And the thing that guy brought to a room, to a team, is it's worth wins. And but if your OPS isn't sexy enough for some of the nerds, then you're just not a valuable player. And in my mind, Eric Hosmer is an extremely valuable player, and still is.
Will Eric Hosmer be an all-star this season?
Did we ever get the answer?
The answer was no.
The answer was no. Yeah.
Well, I get what Hedgie's saying, and it makes sense. And there is a certain intangible aspect of baseball, and maybe Eric Hosmer is what's missing from this clubhouse. I don't personally think so. But, I mean, Austin Hedges and Eric Hosmer both have one thing in common. Neither of them panned out for the Padres, and neither of them were good Padres.
Neither of them could hit.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
I mean, Austin Hedges was one of the worst hitting catchers in baseball when he was with the Padres. Eric Hosmer was one of the worst hitting first basemen in all of baseball when he was with the Padres. This says nothing to the fact that they weren't both great clubhouse guys, or in Hedges' case, was really good at working with some of these pitchers, because he was, and Eric Hosmer was a good voice in that clubhouse. And he's absolutely right. If you ask any of the players, they'll agree with you too, that what he did for the team was beyond just what he did statistically for the team. However, he was on the team during a time where they really needed a bat, where they really were relying on, given the a 220 batting average year. Yeah. Like, and that's all you got out of Eric Hosmer, was disappointing season after season. And look, there were a lot of analytics nerds who would tell you, look, Eric Hosmer, he became the player with the Padres system that he was destined to become. Like, we all saw the foreshadowing of that. And we were all kind of scratching our heads when the Padres signed him for as much as they signed him for. But whoever was right or whoever was wrong, I mean, the fact of the matter is, what Hedges is talking about there speaks to how the front office views players. And that's a former player talking about this current front office. So what do you think that says about this organization? I mean, is it really Bob Melvin that's the problem, or is there something more to it that A.G. Preller is in control of?
Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? And I think
it's $100 million question.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But look, Bob Melvin is, I believe, and we talked about this yesterday, probably a bit of a yes man. So he does, I'm sure, make some of those in-game decisions. But once again, it goes to, what does the iPad say? what do the people above him say? And you're supposed to play the game. I mean, that's what he has to do. I agree with Ben. I think that there have been multiple times where you've kept a pitcher in too long, one batter too long, which completely destroys the game for these Padres, where they cannot climb out of a hole. But when you're looking at a track record here, going back 4 or 5 years, the front office is the people who have been intact the whole time.
Yeah, the common denominator.
Yeah, the common denominator in this whole thing. Perfect. That's the exact word I'm looking for. Thank you, Rich.
And it's a losing front office.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you start to go, where is the problem here? Maybe the front office needs a bigger look.
And there is a lot of speculation, a lot of rumors floating around right now about the relationship between Bob Melvin and AJ Preller, that it is not a good one. In fact, a lot of people are saying that the fact that Matt Carpenter is still on the team but not in the lineup every single day is kind of Bob Melvin and AJ Preller having a little bit of a face-off. I don't totally understand the whole thing, but I heard that yesterday on radio. So I don't know what that relationship's like. I know one or both of them are gone at the end of this year. And I honestly think AJ, probably the time the chickens have come home to roost.
Yeah. Well, it's weird, man.
It's bringing me down. There we go. Thank you,
go.
That is the weakness movie. Not only does Cook got Rube, he's got cash.
He goes to the New York Jets to play alongside Aaron Rodgers in that Jets offensive backfield that's only growing in power and weapons. And we're going to see Dalvin Cook now on Hard Knocks. I believe the next episode is tonight. So we probably won't see him on this episode. But
no, they like to do that thing where they show a guy, like at the end of the episode, I can imagine him getting out of his car, walking in, and be like, next week on Hard Knocks, Dalvin Cook's first day with the New York Jets.
Dude, football is almost here, and we have some serious storylines to get to. First, Dalvin Cook with the Jets, and then Zeke signs with the Patriots. Let's start in order, though. So all of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers has another toy in the toy chest. Reaction to this signing?
I think I think we predicted it. We were all feeling it. I think this is an amazing signing for the Jets. And I think what's also incredible is Aaron Rodgers freed up $35 million. They just spent $8.6 million. They still have $26 million to add to this roster. I mean, the Jets can play.
Yeah. New York still had some of its top players from last season returning, notably Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. But now you have this list of veteran talent that the Jets have acquired around Aaron Rodgers, and it grows only more with the addition of Dalvin Cook, who, look, if Hall gets hurt again, this offense isn't going to plummet in production like they saw last year. They're going to have a capable back, if not Dalvin Cook signing to be the starter and Breece Hall as the secondary punch.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook has been one of the best running backs in the league for the last 4 years. He's been over 1,000 yards every single season. And Dalvin Cook comes in, and I do think he's immediately the starter. But now you have what I would say is the best dual running back system in the entire NFL. And that keeps both of them healthy. And that keeps both of their reps limited. And that keeps both of their hits to the helmet less than it would be. And what a signing by the Jets. However they pulled this thing off, they just added another win to their team, I would say.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I mean, look, Vegas, the line's not going to move for the Jets over the Dalvin Cook signing. You know what I mean? Like whatever their number they're assigned, whether it's, 8.5 or 9.5, it's not going to jump to 10.5 now or anything, sexy like that. But I understand what you mean. Cumulatively over the season, Dalvin Cook, what he adds to this team is another option for Aaron Rodgers.
He's instant offense.
Another game breaker for this offense. Yeah, he can get those chunk plays in the run game that you're so desperately looking for in some of these hard-fought, low-scoring games that the Jets played in and lost some of them last year. Remember when they lost, it was 6-0 to the Patriots or 9-0 to the Patriots? Imagine if you have Dalvin Cook in your backfield when Zach Wilson's having an absolutely abysmal game in a bad weather game. Things look different that year. Or that game. So Dalvin Cook coming to the AFC East is incredible for the Jets, but the AFC East all of a sudden got a lot heavier on the running back room because Zeke Elliott also signs.
Rich, they got bigger on the offensive line, especially the center position.
Who's that?
Zeke Elliott.
Oh, did he? I missed it. Did he sign as an offensive lineman?
Yeah, he's coming in to play center for Mac Jones. He's actually going to be the lead blocker now.
Only blocker. You only need one.
I feel like Billy O'Brien, offensive coordinator with the New England Patriots, called up Kellen Moore over there in Los Angeles with the Chargers and goes, hey, yeah, that play you ran with Zeke, we're thinking about running that in New England now that he's here. Could you just go ahead and send over that overhead projection for our team? Yeah,
this is such a Belichick signing, though. Like it shouldn't be surprising at all. Even though yesterday when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, look, Zeke to the Patriots." But this is a classic Bill Belichick 101. Bring in a veteran who understands football, who's a good blocker in the backfield, and who might have a couple years left.
Well, here's what Zeke is going to be used for in New England. I can promise you this. What Bill Belichick watched last year, he was salivating over this one thing that Zeke is great at. If you put him in down near the goal line, he gets in the end zone. Zeke just has a nose for the end zone. You remember last year, it felt like Tony Pollard did all the work up and down the field. Yep. And then all of a sudden, within 10 yards, it was Zeke time. Like they just handed Zeke Elliott the ball. But that, I'm telling you, in New England, Belichick finds value in the situational player like no other team I played for.
Oh, that was LeGarrette Blount with the Patriots for back-to-back Super Bowls. He was the guy within 5 yards. He was going to get it done.
And Zeke proved that last year. I don't know how much, we hear every offseason for the past 3 off seasons, we hear the same thing. Like Zeke is in the best shape of his life. Just look at him go through the cones. And then he comes out for that. And you're like, oh, he just kind of looks like an aging running back. Well, in New England, we've seen so many times, time and time again, an aging receiver, an aging running back, an aging defensive pass rusher have a resurgence. It could be Zeke's year for that little Patriot magic to rub off on him.
Could be. Does your gut tell you that?
No, but my gut tells me something else. My gut tells me that we need to talk about something that's very close to our hearts and our stomachs.
Very true.
And that's the big cheese, Anthony Mangiello.
Oh,
not a lot of people know Anthony Mangiello, but he's a superstar in our world. If what he's claiming is true, there is a current lawsuit from the CEO of Formaggio Cheese. Anthony Mangiello is alleging that he is the creator of the stuffed crust pizza. And he joins us next, right here on Big Rich TD and Fletch.
This update is presented by Staples Stores. Starting off here with the Padres, who drop another game. They lose to the Orioles yesterday 4-1 at Petco Park. This was the first time in 25 home games that Petco wasn't sold out. Padres falling now to 6.5 games out of the postseason. Few big NFL signings yesterday. Free agent running backs Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott find their new teams. Dalvin Cook joining the New York Jets on a one-year deal worth up to $8.6 million. Zeke Elliott landed with the Patriots on a one-year deal that could be worth up to $6 million. An incredibly sad story out of the NFL. 28-year-old former Seahawk running back Alex Collins. He has passed away after a motorcycle accident on Sunday night in Florida. Police are investigating. Staples has great prices on all the back-to-school essentials. Now you save even more with $20 back in rewards on your in-store purchase of $50 or more. Rewards members only, ends 8/19, redeemable in-store only. School on, save on at Staples.
Big Rich, Sheedy, and Fletch on San Diego Sports 760. The ticket booth is full here on the show. We have pair of tickets to see Duran Duran at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. That's happening August 22nd. We have tickets to Pantera on August 26th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We've got tickets to see Darius Rucker at Gallagher Square on August 25th. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com for all three of those shows, or just keep listening for your chance to win here. Meanwhile, it is a next level fit guy summer, but that doesn't mean we have not lost any love for the stuffed crust pizza.
Yeah,
I mean, it's near and dear to our hearts.
you're not lying about that.
Mhm.
This invention many years ago revolutionized the world. I mean, when we started seeing commercials of the stuffed crust pizza, we're like, many of us were like, well, we must have that, and we did have that. We had it in great abundance. However, there's controversy over the beginnings of the stuffed crust pizza. And to sort of clear things up for us, Anthony Mangiello, the big cheese, the CEO of Formaggio Cheese, is going to join us on the show.
He's with us right now.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, we got him. We got him locked up here. So,
well, yeah, Anthony, we're glad to have you on the show. We really, first of all, if what you're alleging is true, you're a hero. The stuffed crust pizza, I know I'm speaking now for myself and Fletch and TD here on the show, but it is a life changer. It is something that is, quite frankly, its deliciousness knows no bounds, but is a source of great heartache for you because you feel like your family's invention is not being represented appropriately, and a patent was ignored by Pizza Hut. Explain exactly where you're at with your allegations and the lawsuit that you filed against the pizza chain.
Good morning. Again, thanks for having me. The reality is this. You know, in 1987, I was given and granted a patent for a product known as stuffed crust pizza. I even had a trademark called Stuff in the Crust Pizza. And I sent this out to Pizza Hut twice, once in 1988 and once in 1991. And the reality is that it's a method patent, a method to make a pizza. And if you look at how Pizza Hut made their pizza and makes their pizza, and you look at my patent, you can clearly see that I was right for going after them for what's called patent infringement. I sent it to them. It's a novelty item. It's a great item, and it's something no one has ever come up with. But the truth is, I did everything right. I went to New York City. I got some great patent attorneys, and I was able to achieve a patent. And for me, I thought that was going to protect me. But unfortunately, that thought was wrong.
Anthony, you have claimed that you've lost an estimated $1 billion in this. How did you come up with that number? Is the stuffed crust pizza worth $1 billion?
You know, this is the sad truth. Nobody realizes the magnitude of the numbers. When Pizza Hut first introduced this product, they spent $45 million on an advertising campaign just to launch it. The stats that I can tell you that I know about are it took their sales from 4.6 billion to 5.2 billion after they introduced stuffed crust pizza. And my lawyers came up with a number based on the life of the patent. Pizza Hut had 8,300 outlets, and they realized the sales, what they were doing, because Pizza Hut, as you said, is a phenomenon in the pizza industry. So based on all the numbers they put together, $1 billion was what we sued them for, and very justified.
You know, honestly, I think $1 billion might be a little low. We might need to recrack the numbers.
Okay.
But Anthony,
Okay.
when you've dedicated this much time and this many resources to something like this, it's obviously very near and dear to your heart. Is this a family thing going back generations? Tell us the story of how your family created the stuffed crust pizza.
Yeah, it was absolutely, all great inventions happen by accident. I was dating a girl when I lived in Brooklyn when I was growing up. I was 17, 18 years old. And her mom asked me to make a pizza. I said, "Sure, I'll make a pizza. I'm a cheese guy, but in my heart, but I can figure out how to make a pizza." So I went ahead and I got the cheese, I got the sauce. So the mother made the sauce, I should say, and I went to a bakery to buy the dough. I didn't know where to get the dough. And the dough balls in the bakery are much smaller than the one you would see a guy using behind a counter in a pizzeria. So I took two of them and I put it together. So I started to stretch the dough. I realized how thin the bottom had to be. And I pushed all this excess dough, which I didn't know at the time I had, to the crust. So if you can envision the size of a cooked crust, I had a raw crust that big. I put the sauce, I put the cheese, I put it in the oven, and I let it cook. Oh my God, I felt so embarrassed. It started to blow up. It looked like I had a ring of a calzone or a zeppeli all around the outside of the pizza. I felt stupid. Oh my God, but there's nothing wrong with it. Let's cut it. Let's eat it. And we did that. And I had this massive dough ball around the outside of the pie. And when I bit into it and I saw it close and then open and I saw all these nooks and crannies, I said, wow, if there was something inside this crust, that would be great. And that is how stuffed crust pizza was truly born.
Wow. Wow. So this wasn't in some test kitchen, at least in terms of your allegations. It wasn't in some Pizza Hut factory. It was in an ex-girlfriend's house in Brooklyn. And it was born out of your embarrassment because you made a terrible pizza. This is incredible. So Anthony Mangiello joining us, CEO of Formaggio Cheeses. I look at the stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut, and I think to myself, like, wow, like this truly is one of the greatest innovations of the modern times. You think about running water. You think about, to some people, some of the advances in medical sciences, but the stuffed crust. So how do you live every day with this? I mean, I know you're busy with the business, but like, is this something that you wake up, you start your day, you pour your coffee, and at some point you go, call Pizza Hut?
You know what? It was a really big battle, and it consumed my whole life when all of this came out. And I was honestly dumbfounded. And it was the kind of thing where I say to myself, I want to share something with people if I could. If someone has an idea they want to bring to the market, they have a really good concept, and they feel they can patent, and they go ahead and they go to a patent attorney or they figure out how to patent it. Once they have what's called a patent pending status, once they put that application in with the patent and trademark office, that's when you have to go to market. Because the truth is that at that state, all of the information is closed in a file and no one can read it. I thought I had to wait until I achieved my patent status, and then I would go to market, which is what I did. But the truth is that I didn't realize at that point that patent and all the information in it becomes public domain. So in my opinion, Old Pizza did, because I did contact them. I did want to deal with them. They didn't want to deal with me. They sent it to their attorneys and they said, look, we like the product. Let's figure out how we can knock it off. And that's what they did. And if I tell you the differences, you wouldn't believe it, guys. You wouldn't believe it.
The differences in between what you did and what they did?
Exactly.
Or there are no differences?
There really are no differences in the making of it. The only difference is they claim that when they cut it, they cut their pockets open and my pockets are supposed to be closed. Listen, I grew up in the streets of Brooklyn, and reality is you bought pizza by a slice. So I designed my patent in a way that if you wanted to cut it in between the fillings, you could, but you didn't have to. And the sad truth is, if you read the patent and understanding what you're reading, the last step of the patent says bake the unbaked pie to create a pizza. Now, you don't cut a pie until after it's cooked.
Right.
Well, there's no other steps. So it's wrong what happened.
Yeah,
and the truth is, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just curious if there was any resolve at this point, or have you just lost $1 billion?
I did. I didn't win the case, and I didn't win the case for a lot of reasons. It was it's come to my understanding many, many years later now, the fact that the judge on the case wasn't treating people like me fairly. It was a real David and Goliath scenario. And he sort of showed corporate favoritism, and he took donations to charities he shouldn't have. He did a lot of wrong things. Because what Pizza Hut did was they prevented me from getting to a jury trial. Now, is that fair? This is the United States of America. How could I not have the right to be in front of a jury of my peers? What Pizza Hut did is, after deposing me for 3 days, trying to break me, I mean, it's just incredible what I went through. They then went to the judge and said, look, we don't want him to go to a jury trial. We want you to decide this on summary judgment, which is where they take all the facts that are supportive of the case, their case, give it to the judge, and try and convince him, one person, that they're right. Now, if that person isn't 100% fair, I lost before I even entered the ring.
Yeah. And nobody wants to go into a fight with a hand tied behind their back, and that's what it kind of feels like you went through. Hey, Anthony, we appreciate the time. Good job and good fight, man.
Yeah.
And thank you. I feel like this is probably going to fall on deaf ears a little bit because you'd rather the $1 billion, but thank you for inventing something that has been so meaningful to most of us, this stuffed crust pizza.
1,000,000%.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. But all I want is I don't want no money. I want my recognition for being a creator of stuffed crust pizza, a $1 billion concept. That's what's important to me.
Anthony, we're going to put up a picture of you here in studio. I'm not even kidding. We're going to put up a picture. I will show you it hanging here in studio because you are a national treasure, man.
I appreciate it so much, guys.
You know what? Before you go, though, and what's the best pizza on the planet? Where do we get it?
Good
and
question.
because even with the stuffed crust, it ain't Pizza Hut, right? Am I right?
Guys, come to my house. I got a brick oven in the backyard. I'll make you the best pizza you ever had.
Done. We're doing a live remote radio show from Anthony Mangiello's. That's coming up next week.
go.
Anthony, again, we appreciate the time and keep the fight alive because we will.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.
There he goes. Anthony Mangiello, CEO of Formaggio Cheeses, original inventor of the stuffed crust pizza.
Can we have
Feel
some
like
stuffed
he
crust
was-
pizza?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a hero.
He is a hero.
I mean, golly.
Can we do next level fat guy stuff again and bring a brick oven into studio
My God, please, yes.
Oh, my gosh.
and make stuffed crust pizza?
Can we have
Okay.
Anthony Mangiello come in with a brick oven
Where does he
pizza?
live?
Wait a minute. It's got to be New York.
Yeah, right?
It
He
has
sounds
to
like
be,
it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be New York. But check this out.
Yeah.
Once we're done with Next Level Fit Guy,
Yeah.
what if we get Anthony back on the line and he walks us through how to make a pizza? And we get one of those what are they like
Tabletop
the
pizza
Ooey
makers.
ovens
Oh,
or whatever.
Yeah. Umi.
Umi ovens.
Yeah.
And we cook one right here in studio.
858 just texted in. I just tuned in. What in the world is happening? Good question. Answer for you is we have the original inventor of the stuffed crust pizza on who is suing Pizza Hut because they stole his idea. And that is because we are avoiding and denying our feelings about the Padres.
Yeah, we are trying to bury our feelings about the Padres deep, deep down underneath several slices of stuffed crust.
You're welcome.
pizza. All right. In fact, let's continue avoiding talking about the Padres with this. How do you go from being a volunteer to a cult to a Bronco back to being a volunteer? You'll have your answer on the other side. We used to call him the sheriff. We're going to have to call him the professor. That's next. What a conversation we just had with Anthony Maggiello, the CEO of Formaggio Cheese, joined us to talk about how he was the OG creator of the stuffed crust pizza. That interview is going to be up at sportssd.com later on the iHeartRadio app. And if you don't have the iHeartRadio app and if you don't subscribe to us on YouTube, what the hell are you doing?
What the hell are you doing with your life?
Hungry.
Yeah. I am super hungry after that conversation with Anthony. So
I'm on the Formaggio Cheese website.
I did the same thing.
There's a lot of things I would like to eat.
There's so much cheese. We're going on an all cheese diet next. Screw paleo.
I just want to crack into some of these artisan wraps.
Well, technically, if we do go vegetarian next, we can bring back cheese in the diet.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I've heard the Mediterranean diet is the best one to do.
The Mediterranean?
In terms of like top rated, scientifically proven to actually help you lose weight. It's like really limited red meat, mostly either like chicken, pork, or fish.
Is there cheese?
Yeah.
I think you can do cheese,
Okay.
especially like
We're
feta
in.
cheese.
How about this?
Yeah.
Chorizo around soft and silky fresh mozzarella sticks.
Yeah, I want that.
What?
God, what does that even mean? I want 3 of them.
It's literally like a pepperoni made of chorizo.
Oh.
No, it's not a pepperoni. It's like a giant piece of salami that's
Oh.
chorizo.
So, this is a question that's not asked on our show nearly enough.
Speaking
ahead.
of,
Travis, where'd you find this guy?
listen, I saw this was a story.
Like
I saw
like 20 years
saw-
ago, right?
I saw it pop up. Well, no. So yes, 20 years ago was the lawsuit. Yes.
I just like
Yes.
because you sent us like news reports to watch, and I watched them, and they were very insightful. In fact, a young Donald Trump was in them.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
Wait,
were.
yeah, he was,
Yes,
It was
they were.
also
Pizza
from like
commercial.
2004.
No, well, actually, no, those were from like 1991.
Yeah, those were much older than 2004.
yes.
Those were before you were born, Ben.
Correct. Listen, so he has the lawsuit. The lawsuit went on for many years. I think it actually, because his patent expired in 2004, The lawsuit wrapped up some years later, but now he's coming out saying, hey, look, I just want my recognition. I just want people to know who the real creator of stuffed crust pizza was. It wasn't Pizza Hut. And so I thought we should probably talk to him.
We should probably get him on immediately. I was there the day that Travis found the article, and as I was walking out, Ben, he explains all of that to me, and he goes, do you think I should find his number? I'm like, Travis, if you don't, I'll be upset with you. And then I close the door. He's like, I'm on it. So that's how we got. So now we have a new friend out in New York named Anthony Mangiello.
It's the big cheese.
And my gosh, when he talked about the Zeppelis and the calzones on the crust of the pizza, Madonna mia, I just
I did tear up a little bit,
dude, unreal.
And by the way, I bet his bad pizza that was a giant dough ball crust was the best damn dough ball you've ever eaten in your life.
Oh, I would eat the hell out of the pizza he described that he made for
Yeah, I
his
love dough
ex-girlfriend.
balls. The thicker, the better.
Actually, that was your high school nickname.
Yeah,
It
we
really was.
We almost named the show Dough Balls.
It's not too late.
Tell you what, yeah, on our
No.
first anniversary, which is coming up in September, maybe we rebrand.
Dough Balls in the morning.
All right.
I don't
So-
hate it.
I don't.
Speaking of rebranding, Peyton Manning, the sheriff no more. He's going to be Professor Peyton over at the University of Tennessee. The dean of the school spoke out, super excited that he's going to be working with the communications department with staff and students both. So I don't know if it was a dream job necessarily or if it's something on his bucket list, but yeah, Peyton's going to be a professor, which brings us to this. Like, if you could pick, like, we're all titans of our own industries now. Obviously, we've reached the pinnacle of success in our given field, but
Also,
if-
quarterbacks.
right. We're also quarterbacks. That's right. And we're
What?
super handsome.
Yeah.
As long as we're lying, let's go.
What- Yeah, what are we talking about?
That was an office joke because he said Titans, like tight ends, quarterbacks. It's all right. Over everyone's head.
Yeah,
Tight-
that's it. That
Tight
really-
ends.
It was a Michael Scott reference.
You went super deep on
Someone
this.
got it and someone loved it.
Someone loved it. So yeah, look, there's something for everyone. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you could choose any other profession, like any dream job, like what would it be for you two?
Ooh, man. Maybe a lead singer. Lead
Yeah, you
singer in a
got that
band.
in you. Yeah.
I think I would really like to work the pro shop at Augusta.
Oh wow.
Wait, that's the
yeah.
peak? That's the top? Working the pro. You could do that today.
Not at Augusta.
You could
Yeah, I
you
think
could
you
go.
could.
I bet you could apply.
I'll bet you the dude that works the pro shop at Augusta has been there for 45 years.
I bet you
minimum.
I bet you there's a job opening for the guy that puts the shoes up on display at
You know
the
what's
pro
crazy?
shop at Augusta.
You
I mean,
go
the front
lead singer.
desk.
I was gonna say like professional pizza taster or ice cream taster,
Oof.
if there even is such
Oh
a
my gosh.
occupation.
A mattress tester?
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Wait,
I mean, for
so-
sleep, Ben.
Yeah. Well,
Gosh.
you do a lot more than sleep in a bed.
Rich
so-
Ornberg will be the product tester for Libidor. Is that what the name is?
Oh no, the Liberator.
That's the one.
the sex ramps. Which, by the way, you just remind me, I still haven't sent one to my most recent married friend.
Yeah,
I went to his
me.
wedding in Puerto Rico. Oh my gosh, I never got you one.
I mean, I don't want one totally.
Wait, hang on, dude.
What?
Hang on. That's
Yeah.
Oh no, I gave you cash. I give you cash. That's right, dude. Buy a Liberator.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we get an endorsement for Liberator?
Oh, you're damn right we can. We just talked about it
How
for
much do these
5
things
minutes.
cost?
Let's just send the clip. They're usually, dude, the big one, like the sex wedge, it costs like $200.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot of foam. It's a lot of
A
Oh my
lot
God.
of fabric.
Yeah.
Huh.
But check out the website. It's very fun to peruse.
Yeah, there's a lot of pictures.
a lot of models, a lot of things happening. So we've spent a
thought they were-
total
I thought they were bigger than that.
of we've spent a total of 12 minutes talking about the Padres. We're going to try to go a full hour without speaking their name again. So the 7 o'clock hour is dedicated to two things: avoiding talking about the dumpster fire that is the San Diego Padres right now, and then also bringing you the four corners, talking to Mike Reese about the Zeke Elliott signing. And then how about the breakout star in the NFL that nobody's talking about? We'll get to all of that on the other side. It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch on a Tuesday.
This update is presented by Mercedes-Benz. Started off this morning with the Padres. They drop another game. They lose to the Orioles 4-1 last night at Petco Park. This was the first time in 25 home games that Petco wasn't sold out. Padres falling to 6.5 games out of the postseason. A few big NFL signings yesterday. Free agent running backs Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott both find their new teams. Cook lands with the Jets on a one-year deal. That's worth up to 8.6. Zeke Elliott is going to land with the Patriots on a one-year deal. That's going to be worth up to $6 million. Really sad story out of the NFL. 28-year-old former Seahawk running back Alex Collins. He has passed away after a motorcycle accident on Sunday in Florida. The Seahawks put up a little image on Twitter and Instagram yesterday talking about how he will be missed. The utterly inspired all-electric EQE sedan from Mercedes-Benz with hundreds of customizable comfort settings inside the cabin. It's the EV that recharges you. The vehicle is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQE.
Yeah! Yeah!
And even when you're not here, this is the grossest conversation we've ever had, and it's all via text.
I'm so sorry. Oh, happy Tuesday.
Like, I'm surprised we're not canceled.
We have to wear shoes now in every activity.
Yeah. Yeah. Every activity. Keep your shoes on. Gotta save you from that back pain. Oh, it's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you. And we're in good moods because we're refusing to talk about the Padres. We're doing a Padres free Tuesday, or as much as we possibly can do. We talked about them for about 12 minutes, 15 minutes to start the show. We didn't allow ourselves to get negative, and now we are just simply clowning around for the rest of the day.
I'm telling you, if anyone ever got these text messages,
Jesus.
like, we're done.
It's fine, dude. It's fine.
What do you
Everything's
mean?
fine.
We'll just have our own.
We'll
do our
have
own
to
podcast.
We'll have to go independent.
Yeah, it's the only way.
Yeah,
The only
Yeah.
way.
There's,
Also, I do feel like there's an audience that would really enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
there's no doubt. If we can go uncensored, we will obviously lose a portion of our audience, but we will gain so many more. So many more. Listen, if you want to help out the show, or if you enjoy the show, go and check us out on YouTube. You can stream us there every single day. We're live today. We're live every day. Big Rich TD Fletch. Subscribe there. You can follow us, Big Rich TD Fletch, on Instagram, on X, on TikTok as well. TikTok is actually where we post the majority of our videos, but then we sort of trickle down to the other things. And then Twitter, you're just going to get random musings from the three of us. You know, that's basically what that's used for. Or X. I'm still calling it Twitter.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll ever stop.
Yeah, and it's hard for me to not say this was tweeted out. Like,
Right.
I can't remove that from my vernacular, at least not yet.
Yeah,
Very difficult.
it's going to stick around for a while.
I think
Um,
you should say crossed instead of tweeted.
Cross.
I don't hate that.
Crossed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I might start crossing right now.
Yeah, go ahead. I want you to cross something. I'll read it.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Cross it.
Yeah, cross it.
Cross it.
Cross it out.
Is it but that sounds either like you're trying to get rid of something, or it could be religious.
Ooh, good point.
Uh,
Yeah, there could
there's
be
problems.
some crucifixion connotations.
Right,
there.
right.
But there's also problems with Twitter. Twitter has been controversial for years.
Because of
true.
the bird?
No, just because of what people put on it.
Well, yeah. Well, no, that's true.
Yeah, well, you know what's weird about Twitter is how much pornography is on Twitter.
So much.
Yeah.
or
Wait,
on X, I guess. Like
Wait.
it's you don't have to go too far to all of a sudden be like, well, that is just super hardcore stuff right there.
Well, and it doesn't really matter what I type in. It's there. I don't understand. I mean, I put in Padres, and I'm flooded
Yeah.
with
That's, again, the biggest flaw in humanity is we turn everything into porn.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't know how you turn this into porn, because what we watched last night, or honestly just this morning, I didn't see the Hall of Fame speech from Dwayne Wade. But it was touching. It was sentimental. It's the feel good stuff that we were talking about to start this hour. Trying to be miles away from the Padres. I don't think there's anything further than a Naismith Hall of Fame induction. I mean, this is pretty much as far as you can go while staying in the sports world. But look, Dwayne Wade, deservingly so, is going to be remembered as a great in the Hall of Fame across all of basketball. He's an incredible player, champion. His fame obviously almost supersedes his name and his talents. I mean, his name is synonymous at this point with the Miami Heat. He is Mr. Miami Heat. He gave a very touching, though, what would you call it? I guess
Tribute.
Thank you, to his father toward the end of his Hall of Fame speech. And try not to cry. I dare you. I defy you. Try not to cry. Here's Dwayne Wade.
Pops, would you please stand? I owe you a debt of gratitude that I'll never be able to repay. When I would cry and say I can't, you made me go harder. You pushed me to limits that I didn't know were inside of me. The hard work I put in was because I didn't want to let you down. Those countless hours in the backyard, we would compete against each other like strangers. It built me to last. Those days that turned into late nights of me working on my left hand so it was just as good as my right, it made me an unstoppable force. That time you got kicked out of the game as my coach and snuck back in the side door and coached me from the stands just to get kicked out again. It showed me that there was no limitations on how you would show up for me. It's the exact same way I try to show up for my kids. So even though I hated being called Little Dwayne, I admired you as a kid. I admire you now. We had the same exact dream, and we carry the same exact name, Dwayne Tyrone Wade. To know we hustled all the way to the Basketball Hall of Fame is God's will. So Pops, I know your knees are a little sore, but will you join me on stage as we take our rightful step into basketball heaven? I love you, and I'm thankful for you.
I love you too, man.
We in the Hall of Fame, dog.
Out on stage in front of a ovation that had everybody leaping out of their chairs. Dwayne Wade and his father, Dwayne Wade Sr., embracing as he's inducted into the Hall of Fame is a lasting picture in my mind from that. I'm so glad that, Ben, you brought it to our attention, because this is kind of what you forget about when you're talking about sports, the human aspect of it, the fact that it's not just players, names on a roster. Like, these are real people who struggled and fought and tried again and failed so many times to get where they are. They're people just like you and me who had dads, who had other jobs, but made commitments to their kids to try to give them a better life. And that was just a stunning, beautiful tribute from Dwayne Wade to his dad.
Well, and most people aren't like Rich Ornberger, who kind of stumbled into what would be his sport. And once you got into football, you worked your ass off at it. But it was later in life that you came to it. Dwayne Wade, I think it's pretty well documented. It was from the time he was like 6 years old. All he was doing, and it was with his dad in the backyard, like you just said, was working on all aspects of his game. And he was one of the best point guards in the history of the NBA at being able to go both ways to the left hand. And I'm glad he brought that up in the speech, because that's a part of his game that will go down forever as one of the best two-way point guards in the history of the league. And that was such an awesome moment last night. I got to watch about 15 minutes of D Wade's speech. It was about 25 minutes in total. He had some stuff about LeBron that made me want to gag, but whatever, because that team ruined the NBA. But it was really cool to see him go in, and he's one of my all-time favorites. So good for D Wade.
Yeah, I mean, that was touching. It was heartwarming. It was heartfelt. I loved every second of that.
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, my own dad, speaking from the specific, hard work that goes into, raising a young athlete, somebody who's going to supersede your abilities, like that driveway basketball thing that he said about his father.
Yeah.
I mean, I had flashbacks to my own childhood. Now, again, I ended up playing football, not basketball, but I can't tell you how many nights we were still in the driveway at 10 o'clock shooting hoops because I just had this voracious appetite for sports. And my dad never played sports, never enjoyed sports, didn't really even like watching sports, but he was just interested in the things I was interested in. So if anybody out there is listening to us this morning and you have a great dad, you know, you've got a dad who helped you out through some tough times. Maybe it wasn't sports related. Maybe it was just good advice, you know, around the dinner table, or just being a good guy and teaching you what that means. You know, maybe give him a call later on today because that was a great reminder for me. I know you guys feel the same way about that. All right, switching gears a little bit here to talk about the New England Patriots brand new signing. Zeke Elliott goes from being a Cowboy to a Pat. Mike Reese joining us. ESPN covers all things Patriots out there in Foxborough. Before we get into Zeke, how you doing, Mike?
What's up, Rich? TD, Fletch. Hey, Rich, do you have any eligibility left on the offensive line? They're struggling out here. I think they need someone.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike. No, I'm not going to play offensive line, but I'm heavy enough to play offensive line.
They got
right
Zeke.
now. We
Yeah,
found out recently.
Zeke is a hell of a center.
Yeah, we've seen him play.
That's a good point. Hey, his last play with the Cowboys, he lined up at center. It looked pretty good. So why doesn't he get on the offensive line?
Oh, that's harsh. I don't know, Rich. I think you're selling yourself short, man. I think you got a few left in you. And they might be calling based on what I've seen so far in camp.
Yeah, actually, let's start there then. Okay, so obviously Billy O'Brien comes back in the fold as offensive coordinator. You got Mac Jones entering year 3. You still have kind of bare cupboards in terms of the receiver help around the offense. Zeke comes in, but overall the biggest problem offensively is the line.
It is. And it's so interesting to me because obviously we're going to talk about Zeke. That's why I'm here. And I think he's going to help him. But I mean, Rich, honestly, like you would be the perfect person to talk about it. I mean, if you can't consistently block, I don't care who has the ball in their hands at running back. That's going to be tough sledding. And that's the story right now as we sit here today. For Patriots training camp is they're mixing and matching on their offensive line. They've got some injuries, and until they get that sorted out, you know, I think it's sort of an evolving snapshot here.
How about Juju Smith in the receiver area? I mean, is he healthy? Everything good there? That was a big signing.
Really good question. They've had 14 practices to this point, and he's been on the field for all 14, and that's after not practicing at all in the spring. I think that's critical for them. They have basically at receiver guys, they've got Devontae Parker, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Kendrick Bourne as their top 3. And Smith-Schuster is basically the guy they signed to replace Jacoby Myers, who was their top guy last year. And so far, so good. Some good chemistry between him and Mac Jones.
Mike, forgive me because I've already forgotten his name and I should have Googled this beforehand, but there was a Patriots quarterback who came in after playing wide receiver in the first half and kind of broke the internet in the second half with that little 9-10 yard run where he broke a few tackles. Who the hell is this guy?
Malik Cunningham out of Louisville. And so this is sort of intriguing to me. When he was in college, listen to this, guys. At Louisville, he was like, you know, sort of Lamar Jackson-ish, if you will, not comparing him to Lamar, but he threw for 70 touchdowns. He rushed for 50 touchdowns. So he's like that dual threat quarterback. Patriots sign him as an undrafted free agent, guaranteeing him $200,000. So that tells you he's basically like a 7th round pick, very valued free agent who went undrafted, transferring him to receiver in training camp. And they put him in at quarterback in this first preseason game. And he sort of lights it up. And you're saying to yourself, wait a minute. I know it's just the 4th quarter of the first preseason game. I shouldn't read too much into this. But he was so dynamic with the ball in his hands that now you start saying, well, wait a minute. Maybe they have something here.
Mike Reese joining us this morning. ESPN covers the Patriots out there in Foxborough. Has been out there all training camp long. You know, this offense last year struggled. But there was one glaring difference year over year from Mac Jones' rookie year to his second year, and that's the fact that a defensive coordinator was calling his offensive plays. They've since rectified this. Billy O'Brien leaves Alabama, rejoins the staff in New England to be the offensive coordinator. How has that gone so far in terms of communication, in terms of play calling and play selection? I know there's issues with the offensive line, but Mac Jones and his comfort running the Billy O offense?
Much better, much better. And I think it's not just that they had a defensive minded coach calling the plays last year. Like, guys, they overhauled the offense. So this would be like, Rich was here in New England from 2009 to 2011. It's actually a perfect analogy to make. When he got here, they had their offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, leaving. And what they did was they promoted Bill O'Brien to be the offensive coordinator and basically said, we're going to run the same system here. So the guys that were here don't have to learn a whole new thing. And that it smoothed the transition. Well, last year, they basically said, we're not doing that. Josh left to go be the Raiders head coach. And Bill Belichick decided, hey, I'm going to tear down this offense. I want to try something different. So it wasn't just that he had Matt Patricia calling the plays. They were doing completely different things. And so I think what they've done this year, they've gotten back to what they were 2 years ago under Josh McDaniels. And the players in Mac, much more comfortable guys.
Hey, who wins the AFC East?
I'll pick the Jets. And I do it reluctantly because I still think we got to see how they come together. But that's a pretty good, when you talk about building a team, it's a combination of you need talented players, but you need to come together as a team. I think they have a lot of talented players, guys. I think the one X factor is how do they come together as a team? And I'll invest in the fact that a motivated Aaron Rodgers is going to help that team come together and make them the top team in the East.
Mike, can we play a quick fill-in-the-blank question? Just one?
Let's do it. Let's
do
do
it.
it.
Bill Belichick is the head coach of the New England Patriots for blank years because?
Oh, blank years. Let's call it 5 years.
Wow, okay.
Because he is being victimized by those who live in the moment and fail to see the big picture, that he still is one of the best coaches in the league.
I happen to agree with you, and I think it's a little biased because I played for him and I know what that culture feels like when you're in it. It's unlike anything I was ever a part of, whether that be in college, high school, or other teams, other stops in the NFL. It just feels different. And I know you've been around that program for a long time, so you know what I'm talking about. But there is an owner, right? And at the end of the day, he has checks written by Robert Kraft. Is there any indication in your mind whatsoever that some of the reports that we're hearing are true, that Robert Kraft is becoming frustrated with some of the decision-making and the losing and may be looking to make a switch at some point? Or is that all complete, in your opinion, just fabrication?
Well, so Rich, I don't dismiss it out of hand. Okay. I don't doubt the fact that Robert Kraft is frustrated. I think he is. Their last playoff win was their Super Bowl championship over the Rams, and he sets a very high bar. So I think he is frustrated. I think there is something to that aspect of it. He also says something, and I've listened to him closely over the years. He says, when you make a decision like that, you want to measure 9 times and just cut once. And to me, I believe this. If I measure it out from his perspective, as long as they are competitive in the playoff mix, I just don't see a change. And here's the first reason of many I feel that way is he is 19 wins from passing Don Shula as the all-time winningest coach in football when you include playoff games. And I'm looking at it from Robert Kraft's perspective. He had to almost make a decision basically between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick back in 2020. He went with the coach because he figured he'd be coaching longer than the quarterback. You're telling me that he would move on from Bill Belichick before he gets that record? And now he's left with not just no longer having the quarterback, but the coach is going to go get the record with another team? I can't fathom it unless the bottom falls out for the Patriots over the next year or two.
So looking back at that draft when the Patriots ended up with Mac Jones, and they got him a little later than everyone thought, because I think for a long time, everyone thought Mac Jones was going to the 49ers. Now, clearly the 49ers end up with Trey Lance. Patriots end up with Mac Jones. One has looked a lot better than the other. But does Mac Jones have what it takes to be there for the next 10 years?
Huge year for him to prove that, guys. Huge year to prove it. I would say if you had asked me that question as a rookie, I would not have doubted it. I think the last year, I'll be honest with you guys, like it's shaken my belief just a little bit, just because I think there were some things we saw last year as messed up as the situation was around him, that I think he believes he still could have handled better, and teammates believe he still could have handled better. So this is the year to it's all set up for him, better infrastructure. I'm going to ultimately answer your question and say yes, he is the guy to be here for 10 years, and they can win with him and be in the playoff mix with him with a good team around him. But he still needs to prove it, guys. But I'm an investor. Let's put it that way. But not as strong of an investor, I would say, as I was after that rookie year.
Well, I never thought I would say this, Mike, from my time playing in New England while you were covering the team back then, but the Patriots got to get past the Bills and the Jets if they're going to want to have success this year, because that's the way the AFC stacks up. The AFC East stacks up this year.
It's so true, Rich, and it's a reminder that times change. Hey, look, when I was growing up, and I'm from this region, I mean, it was the Bills. Like they went to, the 4 straight Super Bowls. And even before that, guys, when I was a teenager, it was the Dolphins. I mean, we had a saying back in the 80s when they finally beat the Dolphins, it was squish the fish. And when they finally beat them, it was like, oh my God, they finally got Marino and Clayton and Duper. So as it's nothing ever stays the same, guys, right? Like time moves on. And so you're right, Rich. It's different from what we lived together when I was covering you when you were here, but it's also a reflection of, you know what I mean? Like this is sort of the way the NFL turns.
Yep. Yeah. You go through seasons, seasons of life, seasons of football. It all it's a big circle, right? Hey, Mike, I appreciate it. You taking a little time out of your day today, and we'll do it again somewhere down the line.
It's awesome being with you guys. Thanks so much.
There he goes, Mike Reese, ESPN on the Patriots. And coming up next, we do this every Tuesday. We're going to span the 4 corners of the map to bring you all the best stories of today. That's next.
Coming up, we span the globe for all the stories you need to know that you didn't need to know. It's Four Corners coming up next.
This update is presented by Staples Stores. We're going to start off here with the Padres, who fall 4-1 to the Orioles last night at Petco Park. First time in 25 games that Petco Park wasn't sold out. Padres now back to 6.5 games out of the postseason. A few big NFL signings yesterday. Free agent running backs Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott both find their new teams. Dalvin Cook going to the Jets on a one-year deal. Zeke Elliott going to be with the Patriots on a one-year deal. Zeke could make up to $6 million. Cook could make up to 8.6. Both of them heavily incentivized contracts. Staples has great prices on everything you need for back to school right now. 2-pocket poly folders and an 8-pack of Staples #2 pencils are just 50 cents. Offer ends 8/26. Pricing and limits may vary in-store and online. School on, save on at Staples.
Big Rich, CD, and Fletch, and we still have a bunch of tickets to give away. We may have to give away a pair this segment.
Yeah, I agree.
Duran and Pantera, they're both at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Duran's August, Pantera's August 26th. Tickets and info, Ticketmaster.com. We also have Darius Rucker tickets. He'll be at Gallagher Square on August 25th. You want info there, go to Ticketmaster.com. So we'll think of something cool.
Yeah, we'll think of something cool to do. Give away some of those tickets coming up. 3 pairs in total. Yeah, you hear the music. You know what time it is. Four Corners. We do it every single Tuesday. The best stories we could find across the entire 4 quarters of the map coming to you right now. So who wants to get started with a story that they found? Anybody want to jump in first?
Breaking news.
Whoa.
Here's the biggest, most important story of the day.
What's
Rich
that?
Orenberger has never had a chicken bake from Costco.
Oh,
Wow.
No, I haven't. I didn't even know what that was. I had to look up what it was.
There are these incredible bundles of like a calzone with chicken, Alfredo, and bacon in the middle that all comes wrapped in this tight little package that's about the shape of a burrito, but a little longer.
It's a giant Hot Pocket.
It's heaven.
Yeah, it's perfection.
I looked up the pictures and I immediately want one.
They're like $4 too, and it's like 3 pounds.
It's like 9,000 calories.
Every time I go to Costco, this is standard issue. It's either on my way in or on my way out. Coke and hot dog. Like I don't even think about it. It's automatic at this point. It's just here's my money. where's my coconut hot dog? And then I walk away. I'm not even aware that they really serve any other food because I've always eaten the Costco hot dog.
Awesome pizza nut slice as well.
Yeah, the pizza.
Now they have like a roast beef sandwich. That's new.
Yeah, I've never had the roast beef sandwich
I
either.
just saw it the last time I went to Costco. I saw it up on the menu, and we were in the middle of some stupid diet.
But the chicken bake is the Hall of Famer.
All right. Well,
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I absolutely am in. Okay.
Did you guys see that Derek Jeter was ripped by the ex-Marlins owner? He said he destroyed this ballpark in the few years he was here. He does not know how to manage.
Yeah. So Derek Jeter, great baseball player, terrible baseball owner. Not only is the former owner coming out and marring his sterling reputation, but many of the former players, kind of off the record said that life wasn't good as a Marlin when Derek Jeter was in charge.
Yikes.
Yeah. Let's move on to another one. How about this? Did you guys see that Michael Orr story about how he's coming after we'll get into this a little bit more later on, but it's kind of a sad story. He basically was lied to or he alleges he was lied to by the Toohey family, who took him in during his senior year of high school before he went to Ole Miss, saying that they had him sign a conservatorship instead of adoption paperwork. So this whole time he thought he was adopted by them. Meanwhile, they were just raking in money off of his earnings.
Yeah, I mean, this is super sad. If it's all true, it's super sad, and it breaks my heart to think that there's people out there that would do this.
Now, we
there
have
is-
quotes from Sean Toohey, who was played by Tim McGraw in the movie. He says, "We're devastated. It's upsetting to think that we would make any money off of any of our children, but we're going to love Michael at 37 just like we loved him at 16." He also says that they didn't make any money off the movie, where the court documents are alleging that both Sean and Sandra Bullock made a boatload of money off the movie, as well as their two biologically born children.
Yeah, they're worth $75 million, and the bulk of that came right after the movie came out.
But it was because of book sales. At least that's what they're saying.
Correct, which was tied to the movie.
Correct.
So, there's that.
Yeah.
Also, Travis, you used to work as an Imagineer at Disney. Is that what your role was?
Yeah, that's definitely. I was definitely one of the Imagineers. Yeah, I was the guy creating rides.
What was your role again? It was like VIP coordinator?
Yeah, I was the VIP coordinator. I was the babysitter for the high-profile guests.
You did a lot. You did a lot of cool things that
Big
we've
time.
gotten into this other stuff. So some lady was complaining on social media about getting dress coded because she said her skirt. Normally, it's like your skirt's too short,
Yeah,
or
or
you're showing too much cleavage.
Or you're wearing a crop top, and that's not acceptable.
So she said she got dress coded because her skirt was too long. She was dressed up in some sort of character garb, and they were worried that she was going to get sucked underneath one of the moving platforms. Did you ever have to remove anybody from the park for dress code violation?
No, that was never my job, thankfully, because people would be very, very unhappy.
Now, there is quite a bit of cleavage with this outfit.
Yeah, there's also like a collar and a leash, which seems a little inappropriate, but maybe that's just a tie. I don't know. It feels like Disney's becoming a little more lax on the cleavage situation, but this is a safety hazard. I could see him saying you can't wear that.
Or is there a chance that they were actually being mad about the cleavage, but they said something else, so not to cause any issues?
I actually doubt that.
Hey,
I would think that they'd rather give her a T-shirt and make it an easy fix, other than we're going to have to escort you out of here because you can kill yourself if that gets caught in an escalator.
did you ever have any stories from like your time in Disney? Because it is the happiest place on earth, where people were doing the happiest thing that you could do at the happiest place on earth. Like, did anybody ever get kicked out of the park while you were working there for?
Oh my God, Travis just got hit by a dart.
Yeah,
He's gone.
right.
Disney got him.
I'm dead. You know what? It happened probably every other day in the Haunted Mansion ride.
No.
Not kidding. And ladies and gentlemen, there are cameras everywhere. Just a heads up.
I've been on the Haunted Mansion ride when someone has come over the speaker and said, there are cameras and we can see.
Yes, yeah. Which it's I don't know if it's the full deed,
Yeah.
but there's definitely things happening.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. So people made people at Disneyland.
Maybe.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh
That
boy,
is
oh boy.
correct.
Let
That's
me
1,000,000%.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, I mean, you could get away with a lot, but not a lot at Disneyland. All right, how about this? We were just talking food earlier. We've been talking food all day long. We got the chicken bake we got to try at Costco. We just spoke to the original inventor of the stuffed crust pizza. How about this? IHOP announces the return of pumpkin spice items.
We got it. It's happening. August 28th. Should we do a live remote?
Dude, I am currently drinking out of this coffee mug you see on camera. If you're watching us live on YouTube today, Bigger It's TV and Fletch, a mug full of pumpkin spice coffee. I am a basic bitch. I like my spices pumpkin, and I like it that way until at least December 31st.
Trav, I don't know if you have your Farmer's Almanac out, but I'm sure you have one. When's the first day of fall?
It would be September 21st. It would be the equinox, the autumn equinox.
I think we need to do something that day. I'm
On
thinking
the
white
21st?
beanies.
Maybe
Oh,
we should
okay.
do something like almost like eyes wide shut, like all wear like seasonal harvest masks and sacrifice Steven from promotions.
I was thinking
On
a
the autumnal
large.
equinox.
I was thinking a large, oversized sweater and some leggings, and maybe
Oh.
some UGG boots.
Oh, you guys were going in a different direction. I was going to offer the blood of a virgin to appease the gods, but yeah, we could do that too. That's cool. That's cool.
Hey, you want to keep on the food theme? Apparently, the Miami Marlins are selling $5 hamburgers to celebrate the trade acquisition of Jake Burger.
Oh my God!
Great news.
I'll tell you right now, we have a missed opportunity that we need to lean into because while my last name isn't specifically Burger, there is a burger in that.
Correct. Yeah. We should,
You should sell $5
wait,
hamburgers.
when is National Burger Day?
We need to go crush an Ornburger.
Oh yeah, over at the hamburger factory, we could do that.
All right, I might head to Remy at lunch.
Oh my God, the Remy, yes. Wow. They have burgers too.
They
Hitting
do.
that American Wagyu meat.
Oh my God,
What do you
Burger
got?
Day! Burger Day is August 24th. Oh my God, we could do Burger Day.
We're
not that
9
far
days
away.
away.
We could do Burger Day.
We are 9 days away.
I wonder if we could get the mayor to make it National Burger Day.
You know what goes great with the burger?
What's that?
I don't know if you need something to wash it down after.
Oh yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, I would like that.
So-
Maybe something like hard and something icy, and maybe the tea sort.
I think that you are right on track. I'm doing a big tailgate out at the Dirk Bentley concert this Friday because we're going out early to avoid some of the traffic heading in. And when I'm tailgating in the back of my beautiful truck, I'm going to be drinking a long ball. Because long balls are the world's finest lemon iced tea, ready to drink cocktail. It can keep the party going all day long. Our guys Dennis and Daniel O'Connor took the classic cocktail, the long ball and soda. They put a little backspin on it, making it perfect for our enjoyment, your enjoyment, everyone's enjoyment. Perfect for that early tea time or twilight session. When we played golf last week, we were drinking long balls. Our buddy Jamar on Twitter told us to try the long ball and Sprite. We tried it. It was awesome. We even put a little lemonade in that. Oh, yeah, it was great. Crafted in San Diego, January 2023, long ball shareable. Crushable canned cocktail with just 3 ingredients and only 123 calories, 5 grams of sugar. They have that clean, refreshing finish that'll keep you in the game all day long. Find Long Ball at longballsugar.com or a bunch of different retailers across San Diego and more than 20 San Diego golf courses. Head over to longballshooter.com for all the info and head over to sportsst.com where you can sign up to win a free round of golf with Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Go long, tease nuts. Please drink responsibly.
Yeah, go sign up, man. We want to golf with you.
Yeah, we do.
Absolutely.
In a
Yeah,
big
we
way.
got Aaron last Thursday. That was an awesome time at Carlton Oaks. We're going to hit other golf courses around San Diego, and we will be drinking long ball.
Mhm.
You know what? I'll throw that link in the chat
Yeah,
on
is this so
YouTube right
incorrect?
now.
Yeah.
So if you want to head over to Big Rich TD Fletch on YouTube, you can click the link and sign up to play golf.
All right, coming up next on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch, we got to get to the NFL breakout star that everybody seemed to forgotten. That's next.
Champ here. When I'm in San Diego, I'm always hanging out at San Diego Sports 760 with who? Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Whammy!
We need more of
Voice
that.
of Champ Kind. He was in studio with us. David Koechner, actually, is the name of the actor. You know him from The Office. You know him from Anchorman and Anchorman 2. And he's our best friend, I would argue. I think, at least. He seemed to like us a lot.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
Whammy!
Really sold out for that whammy. We asked him for it. He delivered. And it was actually interesting. Toward the end of that interview, when we said, hey, David, we know you got a busy night ahead of you and you want to save the voice, but is there any way you could just go ahead and grace us with he's like, I got it. No problem, fellas. He knew exactly what we were going to ask him to do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're not the first to ask.
And we had just gotten those coasters printed, and Travis was like, here you go, sir. This is our name.
Well, yeah. Well, because the first go round, he went, listening to Big Red. These guys, whammy.
I'm gonna read you a quote, and I want you to tell me which NFL said this and who is he talking about. Here we go. The biggest thing that I've seen now going on 2 years from where we had him a year ago in the offseason to today is just his confidence is incredible. It's off the charts. He's put the past behind him. He's focused on the future and really embraced this opportunity with his football team. The confidence level with him is extremely high, as it should be. I think some young quarterbacks I've had going into year 2 with us, I think about some of the young quarterbacks I've had going into year 2 with us, and that's what you've seen. You've seen that confidence level increase, the understanding of the offense, the dialogue, and what we have between him and myself, or him and our coordinator, is outstanding.
That's Brock Purdy.
Yeah, that's Ben Fletcher tweeted that out.
That was Ben talking about Brock Purdy.
That is Kyle Shanahan's glowing praise of our franchise quarterback, Big Sock Brock.
Speaking of Brock Purdy, did you see that just randomly, as we take a sidetrack here, that what was the rock band that sang All Star?
Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth. Did you see they snubbed Trey Lance in their tweet?
He deserves it. And Sam Darnold is probably better than Trey Lance at this point.
Okay, sorry. I digress.
No,
Go ahead,
it's
Rich.
okay.
Who are they actually talking about, even though we know it's Brock Purdy?
No, it's not Brock Purdy. I will say this, though. Brock had a very good showing, Ben. We have to placate Ben. We have to make sure he's okay. He had a very good showing, and his elbow's going to be fine. It's going to be fine.
As long as it's the left one.
The report this morning is that he took a huge step forward and will be ready to go for week 1.
That was Doug Peterson talking about Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow.
And what's interesting is it's kind of like that old rap song. Y'all must have forgot. Like, it feels like going into this offseason, everybody's still talking about Patrick Mahomes and talking about Justin Herbert working with his new offensive coordinator and Zach Taylor and year 3 with Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. If him and Ken Dorsey can come together and Stephon Diggs and get it right for the 2023 season, it's like nobody. And by the way, and the first round talent, Richardson and Stroud and Young, like they're all getting these headlines. Nobody's talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jacksonville Jaguars could very well be a team that not only makes it into the postseason, but makes a deep run in the postseason.
I think it's a product of being in Jacksonville, first and foremost. It's kind of a forgotten about franchise. Even that year that they had Myles Jack and that crazy defense, and they made it all the way to the AFC Championship game with Blake Bortles, everyone was still kind of like, yeah, but it's the Jags. And so now you get to this point, and they had that Urban Meyer experiment, which was just weird. That's the only word that you can use to describe it. And people did kind of forget about Trevor Lawrence. Now, I was watching Nick Wright yesterday on FS1, and he has Trevor Lawrence as his 10th best player in the NFL, above Josh Allen, who's not in that list at all, which I thought was a little insane. But Trevor Lawrence, you said it, Rich, he is poised to have a huge season. Like, we forget about how big of a prospect he was.
Rookie year, led the NFL in interceptions with 17 while throwing only 12 touchdowns. Lawrence in his second season, then with Doug Peterson instead of Urban Meyer, cut the interceptions in half to 8 while doubling his touchdown passes to 25. Lawrence is one of those quarterbacks who in college, we all said it, he was getting drafted out of Clemson. He's a can't miss prospect. And many people regarded, Peyton Manning very similarly, Andrew Luck very similarly, oddly played for the same franchise. But there were a couple of quarterbacks along the way who, even though they were destined to be great in the NFL, they struggled their rookie year. In fact, Peyton was one of them. He also led the NFL in interceptions his rookie year, and look how it worked out for him. Now he's a professor at University of Tennessee. So,
which I oddly want to sign up and take a class.
Same here. I bet you it'd be fun. But yeah, I mean, Doug Peterson, he really resurrected Trevor Lawrence after a tough first season with Urban Meyer. And it just, I guess you're right, Ben. I guess it's because they're in Jacksonville. Nobody's paying attention to them.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. You're right. Which is odd because I agree. It's going to be a great showing this year. And I hope it is. I hope it blows up out there. I want as much competition as possible in the league. Yeah. It's more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating to see that AFC South with the Colts with a brand new rookie quarterback, with the Texans with a brand new starting rookie quarterback. Obviously, the Jags have Trevor Lawrence and a rebuilt offense, and then the Tennessee Titans, they're going to try to make waves too. I don't know, man. It's up for grabs. I feel like the Jags are my favorite in that division. All right, coming up next,
Whammy!
We got to get back to the Padres. I don't know how long we're going to talk about them, but because they depress us every time. But we'll get back to that, and then we'll also sprinkle in some NFL with our very best friend from the NFL Network, Rhett Lewis, on the other side. It's Big Rich, TD, and Fletch on a Tuesday.
Whammy!
It's hour 3 on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. This update presented by Staples Stores. We're going to start off here with the Padres, who do fall once again to the Orioles, this time 4-1 last night at Petco Park. This was the first time in 25 home games that Petco wasn't sold out. Padres falling to 6.5 games out of that postseason spot. A few big signings in the NFL yesterday. Free agent running backs Dalvin Cook and Zeke Elliott both find new teams. Cook joins the Jets on a one-year deal. That's going to be worth up to $8.6 million. Zeke lands with the Patriots on a one-year deal that will be worth up to $6 million. And a sad story out of the NFL, 28-year-old former Seahawk running back Alex Collins. He has passed away after a motorcycle accident on Sunday in Florida. Staples has what you need for travel: passport photos, luggage, headphones, even personal-sized travel-sized items. Now get $10 off your purchase of $30 or more when you buy a travel service. In-store only. Offer ends September 16th. Exclusions do apply. Staples, your first stop to nonstop travel.
Woo! Happy Tuesday to those who celebrate. Big Rich, TD, and Fletch with you on this Tuesday. And it's a Tuesday where collectively we made up our minds that we're not going to be dragged down and sullied by the despair that is the Padres baseball season. No, we are going to rise above. We're going to use the heat from the burning embers of this dumpster fire, and we're going to soar like the phoenix to greater heights unknown by any other in the sports media landscape here in San Diego. We will not be bothered by the fact that they're streaking in the wrong direction. We will not be bothered by the fact that Bob Melvin is going to be scapegoated in this entire situation. We're not going to be bothered by the fact that Peter Seidler, even though he's doling out and shelling out massive amounts of cash, this team still can't get out of it.
I'm fine being bothered by all of it. To be completely honest, yeah, I do love Peter for what he's done in spending all the money, but it was misguided money, clearly. And I know that we didn't think that at the time, but that's how it's panned out to be. So it's results don't lie, and the results this year have been dog. You know what?
Wasn't really misguided though until they became Padres. The numbers were pretty good until they got to San Diego.
Comment early on from Kevin on the show today, and he says this: the only guys producing are Kim and Soto, and they're the guys still chasing big money contracts. Seems like the rest of them are distracted because they're counting their money. Now you could say the same thing about Blake Snell, who's on the verge of free agency. Blake Snell's had a fantastic season, might be heading for a Cy Young award, which is insane to say on this team. But those three guys have been producing and working their asses off, and I look around the rest of the team, and I don't want to do this, but I do kind of question, where's your priority right now?
There's the answer. Sign everyone to one-year deals.
Yeah, from here on out. I saw this social media video recently of a former player talking about the Dodgers. And I found it curious because he wasn't talking about the Dodgers at the major league level. He was talking about the Dodgers at the minor league level and the investment that they've made in player development. Every single player gets an iPad. Every single player gets the password to unlock their advanced analytics. I guess you would call it like interweb or internet. It's their own, it's proprietary, they've created their own proprietary analytics app, I guess you would call it, where they can look at how they're performing on a daily basis. They feed these guys meals before the games. Not a lot of minor league teams do. They pay for their travel on charter flights at some of the levels that they play. So the Dodgers are making this enormous investment in developing young players and getting them to the major league level ready to play. And I'm not sure. Now, I'm not going to say anything about the Padres minor league system because I don't know. But I'm not sure there's a single other team in baseball who's making that level of investment. And that's the reason why when you're in the division with a team like the Dodgers during what was supposed to be a down year for the Dodgers, because They didn't spend any money in big splashy free agent names. They didn't spend any, huge capital and bringing in anybody magnificent in trade, but they're still leading this division. Well, the answer to that is maybe there's investments that you could be making other than just the major league roster to build a better team and a better culture for the future.
Yeah, and I think that there's a hang up, especially with me and us being Padre fans, where you look at the Dodgers and go, well, we don't want to do what they do. We don't want to be like the Dodgers. But I mean, the truth of the matter is you start looking at the teams that are doing things right and then emulate it, figure it out. Because at the moment, we're struggling over here.
Yeah, and I mean, what we know about AJ Preller is he came up as a scout, and I would say he is an excellent scout and identifier of young talent. I don't know that he's the best GM. He is a very aggressive GM, which at times you love that, at times you don't. I mean, we saw what happened in 2015, and I think we're hoping to avoid that same scenario here in 2024. And who knows, it might be heading to that, but I really don't think it is. But AJ Preller, it starts with him. And I truly believe that because he has Peter Seidler's ear. Peter is not spending all this money without AJ being the one convincing him to do so. So if you're looking at someone and being like, why is this roster not performing? Why is there no depth on the bench? Why is there no depth in the bullpen? There's one person to look at. It's AJ Preller.
Well, and that brings us perfectly back to the sound that we played to start the show. Austin Hedges appeared on Chris Rose's podcast, and he was talking about the culture inside of the San Diego Padres organization, especially related to when they were letting go of Eric Hosmer in trade. Here's what he had to say about that whole situation.
It's terrible how they treated him there. Absolutely terrible. They just didn't understand what they had. And if you ask any of his teammates there throughout that whole time, 100% of the ones that I've talked to would say the exact same thing I'm saying right now. And the thing that guy brought to a room, to a team is it's worth wins. But if your OPS isn't sexy enough for some of the nerds, then you're just not a valuable player. And in my mind, Eric Hosmer is an extremely valuable player and still is.
Yeah. So Austin Hedges, for anybody who doesn't remember, played with the Padres from 2015 to 2020. And look, he didn't perform at the plate. And essentially that was the reason why the Padres had to let him go and trade as well. They sent him to Cleveland. And I believe that was when they were getting Sunshine Clevenger. Thank you. Yeah. Mike Clevenger from the Cleveland Guardians. And
I don't know if I buy that soundbite.
Well, it does sound like there's a little bit of an axe to grind.
Right. And Eric Hosmer wasn't good.
No, he wasn't.
And there were reports coming out that he was a little bit of a cancer in that clubhouse.
Well, you got to remember, why did that report come out, though? Like, why did we hear about that report? Because I question everything. So I'm going to question both sides of this. Why does Austin Hedges say what he says about AJ Preller in the front office and the way they handled the departure of Eric Hosmer? Well, maybe he has an axe to grind. Why did we all of a sudden hear that Eric Hosmer was a cancer in the clubhouse? Well, maybe that was sourced from the team, and they were trying to make it easier for them to trade Eric Hosmer, just in case there was anybody in the fan base who was going to question it. No. Eric Hosmer is bad for our culture. We got to get rid of him. So you always got to ask why we're hearing about certain things. But, okay, let's take it at face value, right? Because we kind of took at face value what they said about Eric Hosmer being a cancer. So let's do this with Austin Hedges right now. Let's pretend that everything he said was 100% true.
And we do know that for a long time, most of the players in the Padres clubhouse thought of Eric Hosmer as the leader of the team.
Yeah. Let's just pretend it's all true. Well, going back to what you initially said about AJ Preller, Ben, about how he's the common denominator and about how he is in Peter Seidler's ear. Peter Seidler refers to him as excellence. If this is the level of excellence that players are receiving on their way out the door, how excellent is it? And is he the right man for this job?
No, I mean, that's spot on. It's just hard for me to look at Eric Hosmer and after he's left the Padres go, yeah, man, we didn't know what we had till it was gone.
Will Eric Hosmer be an all-star this season?
Exactly. I mean, it's but just trying to look at it on face value. If we took it for face value, then you have to look at AJ Preller. You have to look at the front office. You have to look at how players are being treated. And again,
I mean,
there's something going wrong here.
I look no further than the looks on these guys' faces, and I think a lot of it's from losing. But this is a dejected ball club, and it's a ball club that doesn't look like they're having a whole lot of fun. And I think that the attitude thing is getting worse and worse. And I read you guys that stat earlier today that they are the worst team since, what was it, 1938 in terms of one-run games in baseball history.
It's brutal. It's
Like,
brutal.
and one-run games are about fight. It's about passion. It's about trying to be with your teammates as much as they're trying to be with you. And I do believe that's what it is, because in baseball, you don't lose at a clip of less than 200 per, or at a 200. What am I looking for? Average? Yeah. You don't lose at that rate unless something is seriously wrong.
Well, listen, I look no further than the attitudinal shift last year to this year. Last year, the quote that stuck out the most across the regular season during the Padres baseball season was "Let's effing go San Diego."
Right.
The quote that sticks out the most from this Padres regular season is, "We literally just give up."
That's
like that's the quote that resonates, because Juan Soto said that last week. And guess what? It's the dirty little secret that nobody was talking about in that clubhouse. And finally, a guy was, I guess, honest. I mean, maybe that's the only credit you could give him. Maybe he was honest. And maybe it's the first honest thing we heard from the Padres all season, that they have it in them, being paid what they're paid to play a kid's game, to give up. Well, now you're starting to see it at Petco Park with the fans. Like you said, Ben, the first non-sellout crowd since the start of the season at Petco Park was last night.
First sellout in the last 25 games.
Yeah,
at
or
Petco
first
Park.
non-sellout in the last 25 games. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, they didn't sell it every single game.
All right, that's 12 minutes.
Okay, we're done.
Okay.
We're done. Woo! Okay, let's
See-
get to a brighter story about how the Tui family lied to Michael
No,
Moore.
before that, we do have news from Schefter this morning. A couple of things have been made official. The Panthers have officially announced that Bryce Young has won the job. We all kind of expected that.
Yeah.
The Colts have officially announced this morning that Anthony Richardson has won the job. That was probably half and half. And then number 2 overall pick, CJ Stroud, he's expected to start his second straight preseason game, appears to be in line to be the opening day starter. Rookies look like they're going to be, at least with those 3 franchises, at the helm.
Okay, well,
All right.
with that, I mean, do you feel like all 3 of them are going to be the starter for the full 17-game season?
Barring injury, yes, because all 3 of those teams desperately need them to work.
Well, I'm not so sold on CJ Stroud yet. I just get this feeling like that is one of the only teams. Now, again, like you said, barring injury, one of the only teams that it really feels like it may benefit them to give him a little bit more maturation on the bench. I don't feel that way with Anthony Richardson in the Indianapolis Colts locker room and clubhouse and culture. I think when you look at Anthony Richardson, he's a little bit more instant offense than CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's more of a pocket passer. And who's he throwing the ball to? Tank Dell?
Nobody.
He's also a rookie.
So
You know?
are you saying Davis Mills would give him the opportunity to not take all the hits, because the Texans' offensive line is also dog?
Yeah, they're pretty bad. And I just feel like at a certain point, almost maybe to protect his development, I think Davis Mills is going to get some snap during the season. But I do believe that Richardson will get the start. And again, barring injury, he'll be in there the whole year. And same with Bryce Young in Carolina.
Well, Bryce Young, he has to work.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Carolina's going right back to the well and going to get another quarterback in the next 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And Richardson, I'd say he's in the same boat, because the Colts have had this revolving door now, starting with Phillip Rivers, of kind of older quarterbacks since Andrew Luck left. And it's like, who are they going to go to? Sam Ellinger? They got to figure
they
it
have
out.
Gardner Minshew.
Oh, that's right. Gardner is backing up Richardson.
Yeah, exactly.
I like Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, who doesn't? I love the mustache.
I hate that guy.
What?
No, I just want to say.
Okay, also we had breaking news overnight and into this morning with Zeke Elliott signing with the Patriots. We talked to Mike Reese earlier about that. Dalvin Cook signing with the New York Jets, both on one-year deals. Now, the interesting thing is Dalvin Cook is going to get $2 million from the Vikings regardless this season. He gets $8 million, or the opportunity to earn $8 million on the new deal with the Jets. Zeke, I believe it's a 1 year for $6 with the Pats, with some incentives attached to it, that might be the very most money he can earn.
Both of them are pretty heavily incentivized. So Dalvin Cook's is 8.6 with a lot of incentives built in there, and then Zeke's is he can earn up to 6, but he would have to do a lot also.
Who has the better season this year, Zeke or Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook.
Dalvin Cook.
And I don't think it's close.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't mention earlier was Aaron Rodgers and his relationship with Aaron Jones in Green Bay was extremely fruitful. He was an excellent pass catching back.
He was also
Jeez.
an excellent cat.
I also have had too much coffee today and my brain isn't working. But Dalvin Cook, one of the best pass catchers out of the backfield in the entire NFL, has been his whole career.
Yeah, he'll be good on third downs. Obviously, those screen passes that Nathaniel Hackett likes to work in. We saw plenty of those in Denver last year.
They worked great.
No, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
not so much.
Well, Russell Wilson's fixed. All fixed.
Is he?
We saw it. We saw it on Friday.
Dude, Rich, you know who we need to talk to is Benjamin Albright.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he will tell us exactly what's happening with Russ and he won't sugarcoat it. And I want to see Travis cry.
We should bring him on.
I'm,
we should bring
I'm
him on
not
the
going to
show.
cry. I'm angry.
Also, we should bring on Cam Inman talking about both of your teams. So we could bring in Benjamin Albright at some point this week to get a Broncos update. And we could bring in Cam Inman from the Mercury Times and get 49ers update. And let's just see who's in a better quarterback situation, the 49ers or the Broncos.
Are you kidding me?
What?
Are you kidding me?
Sierra!
We need another bathroom.
Maybe she should play quarterback.
Don't they yell Sierra a lot in her songs?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah,
Sierra, this beat. Automatic, supersonic, hypnotic, fresh. That's all melodic.
So, a heartwarming story out of the NFL and Hollywood.
Yeah.
Whew, the
Yeah.
Blind Side, apparently not real.
Yeah. So
Or partially
The
not
memes
true.
were pretty great.
oh my gosh. The memes, the internet is undefeated.
You know the little kid in The Blind Side that plays the younger brother?
Yeah.
There's a picture of him just smiling ear to ear, and it's like,
Just cashing in.
yep.
Just cashing in on that Ole Miss money. Love that money. Woo! Woo! So the Tui family is being, I guess, sued. The suit is from Michael Orr, who is a former NFL player, standout in Ole Miss, became a first rounder the same year I was drafted to the Patriots. He went to the Carolina Panthers, the 23rd overall pick. Oh no, to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yes.
Right.
He later played for the Panthers. Actually, as a matter of fact, our seasons intersected during a playoff game in Foxborough where him and the Baltimore Ravens absolutely stuffed it right up the where, and we got knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I heard that Tom Brady guy kind of sucks. So you were just dealing with a bad quarterback.
Yeah, and I know you know what? Honestly, if things would have been different under center, we would have had a much better go of it in New England. But I digress. Look, the point is, Michael Orr is suing the family who he thought adopted him, but he's alleging that what they had him sign instead of adoption paperwork is actually conservatorship paperwork to give them legal rights to monies that they could profit off of him, his likeness, and his story. And that's the reason why the Tui family are all millionaires and Michael Orr is pissed.
Yeah. And he's still in this conservatorship, which seems incredible.
Well, it's like the Britney Spears thing, right?
Right. But I guess, wasn't there a certain number of years that a judge would have to look at the conservatorship and say, Britney Spears couldn't take care of herself, so it will remain intact? Because I thought that's how that played out. Maybe it only happened if they went to court, but is there anything
this might be that? This might be them going to court, and that's what Michael Orr is trying to do.
Jeez, he's 37.
Yeah, and we do have quotes from Sean Tui, who was played by Tim McGraw. We'll get to those, but
I'd like to point that
I
out.
would like to hear from Tim McGraw, actually.
Yeah, I would, actually.
And Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Like, how much did they know? But it's this petition further
They knew
alleges
everything
that the Tuies used their power as conservatives to strike a deal that paid them and their two birth children millions of dollars in royalties from the Oscar award-winning film that earned more than $300 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So conservatorships is when a judge appoints another person to act or make decisions for a person who needs help. The person the judge appoints as the conservator is going to help out the conservatee. So that is the relationship apparently between Michael Orr and the parents in the Tui family. And basically, like there's different, like there's limited conservatorships, there's general conservatorships, and I think the only way they can go to court is if the conservatee wants to have everything reassessed. Like Britney Spears wanted to be emancipated from the conservatorship from her father.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because of that, that's the reason why they kept going to court, and different judges kept saying, yeah, no, I think you need the help. So we're just going to keep it in place.
Also in the ESPN article, it points out that Michael Orr isn't like trying to besmirch their name or anything, even though that's kind of what's happening. What he's trying to do is open up the books on what they've made off of his name, because he hasn't made a dime off of the Blindside movie or the book or any of the books that the Leanne Tui wrote afterwards. She's also a motivational speaker. So he's trying to open up the books and get a fair portion of what he deserves for the same story that he says wouldn't have existed without him, which is true because it's his story.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see him. I want to see what's going on with this. If there is someone lying about this, then I think they need to be taken to task. This is pretty messed up.
I will say that even though this is a really messed up story and it's very depressing in its own right, I actually feel better talking about this than I do the Padres.
Same.
Right. It's nearly uplifting.
Right. By comparison, the Padres season somehow seems less worse than a young man being taken advantage of by a fiendish family looking to gain from a capital standpoint on his talents on a football field. And that's Padres 2023 in a nutshell.
Yeah. It wasn't all that long ago that we saw Sean and Leanne Tui on the football field with Michael Orr, giving him a big hug afterwards, and everyone seemed like a happy family then.
Well, yeah, I mean, but things change. I mean, imagine like if you find out that this was the case and that you were never legally adopted, even though you were told that you were. I mean, you would feel like a lot of the initial, whatever it was, I guess, legal relationship was a lie. And so what else are they lying about?
Yeah, and it would feel like, I mean, you've been broken as a family. Was there ever any love there at all, or were you just brought in for money? Yeah. There's also reports that the Tui family purchased 115 fast food places, flew on private jets, and then went on a ton of vacations with the profits from the Blindside.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder how many of those flights Michael was invited on.
Right.
That's,
I think he was still in the NFL.
Yeah.
Could be. No, it's weird. They always go on vacations during the fall.
Why do they always leave on Sunday?
I thought I was a part of this family. No, you are, Michael. You are, Michael.
But you know the weather in Hawaii is much better in November.
Only when you go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Someone else made a edit yesterday of a bunch of different moments of the Blindside movie where Sandra Bullock looks like super creepy. Because there's that one scene where he's just not talking to me. And he's like, well, he's like an onion. You got to peel him back a layer at a time. And she says, not if you use a knife. And then it like puts her eyes super dark.
Listen, I don't ever want to talk bad about Sandra Bullock.
I do love her.
No, who doesn't? I mean, she's perfect.
And so
treasure. Are the arch supports at the Good Feet store. They're absolute perfection. And I do mean that. I know we're just joking around, but the Good Feet store, it's really helped improve my life. You go into the Good Feet store like me and Fletch and TD did. You get fitted for these arch supports. And they fit like insoles right into your footwear. So whatever you walk in wearing, whether it's loafers or you got sneakers on or dress shoes, you can just go ahead and slip these arch supports right in, walk out of the place in 20 minutes, and start on your way to having less pain. Where did I have my pain? In my back, in my knees, especially my hip. My right hip really started to go for a while there. My ankles, even in my feet sometime. And these arch supports have really helped to resolve a lot of those issues for me. So I want you to do the same thing. I want you to get to a Good Feet store, meet with one of their really awesome representatives who are going to walk you through the process. They're going to get you out of there in a short amount of time, feeling a lot better, and then they'll check in with you a week later. Their customer service is top notch. They want to make sure the arch supports fit. They want to make sure you're happy with your purchase, and they want to make sure they remind you of how to use the arch support. So you're going to be supported the whole way. And anytime you want to drop by, once you're a customer for life. They're amazing like that. So 200 locations around the world. They have been doing this for 30 years. Check them out at goodfeet.com. And coming up next, we're going to check out what's going on around the NFL with Rhett Lewis of the NFL Network. That's next.
This update is presented by Staples Stores. A couple stories out of the NFL. The big signing, free agent running back Dalvin Cook. He is with the New York Jets now for a deal worth up to $8.6 million for 1 year. And Zeke Elliott, he's on the Patriots now for a 1-year deal that could be worth up to $6 million. Both deals have quite a bit of incentives in them. In the Padres, they drop another game. They lose to the Orioles 4-1 last night at Petco Park. This was the first time in 25 home games that Petco wasn't completely sold out. Padres fall to 6.5 games out of the postseason. Staples has great prices on all the back-to-school essentials. Now you can save even more with $20 back in rewards or your in-store purchase of $50 or more. Rewards members only, ends 8/19, redeemable in-store only, school on, save on at Staples.
All right, Heart Radio Music Festival is back. It's happening September 22nd and 23rd at T-Mobile Arena out in Las Vegas. 2 nights on one stage. Live performances by the Foo Fighters, Fall Out Boy, Kelly Clarkson, Lenny Kravitz, Tim McGraw, and the list keeps going on and on and on. And while the world is listening on iHeartRadio, you could be there. 3 chances every weekday for you to win your trip for 2, plus $1,000 spending cash. Just keep listening to win. Your next chance coming up at 1:05 today. Also, we still have 3 pairs of tickets to give out.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. We're going to have to give those out quick, fast, and in a hurry. So be listening to this segment because I have a feeling at the end of it, we're going to be giving away 1 pair, but then we have 2 more to deal with. We're also going to be joined by Rhett Lewis. And before we do, I just want to tease this as well. We got the battle of the billionaires coming up. Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, a cage fight, or some sort of ancient Roman display. We're not 100% sure what Elon was talking about in those posts on his rebranded website, X. Let's start there, actually, with Rhett. Rhett Lewis joining us, NFL Network. Rhett, if you had to take all the money you've ever earned over your illustrious broadcasting career and put it on one of these 2 social media CEOs, which horse are you backing, Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg?
Well, to be perfectly honest, when you started describing this segment, I was like, man, they must be doing really well on radio down in San Diego. Talking about the Battle of the Billionaires. I'm like, maybe I should be on the show more often.
Yeah, you're damn right, Brett.
If you weren't describing yourselves in that cage match and you are, in fact, talking about Musk and Zuckerberg, is it possible that there's like a TKO for both, and it's like one of those things where they simultaneously like slap each other in the nose and knock each other out, and like it's like a simultaneous 10 count. I don't see either one of these guys being like tough enough in a ring scenario, in a boxing scenario, to actually do any damage to one another. I mean, like, is that also a possible outcome?
It is a possible outcome. I mean, anything's possible.
You think they're just going to paw at each other's faces like a gentle push?
Kind of. Yeah.
which oddly, I would still pay for.
The worst fight ever.
Yeah. No, it's going to be bad, but you know that we're all going to subscribe or sign up or watch or wherever we're going to take it in. And we're going to walk away from it like, I wish I wouldn't have done that. I really wish I didn't do that. It's like how I feel every single.
They can spend as much money as possible on trainers. Like that part, I could see if there was a long run up to this thing, like, no expense would be spared on trying to become a better fighter. I just don't know that I feel like it's going to be a futile scenario there.
Yeah. Speaking of which, go back to the times, our humble beginnings in New England, where I would say a lot of people felt like maybe even the addition
humble for you.
Yeah. For you were a skyrocketing asset.
I'm a celebrity.
Yeah. I mean, goodness, this guy was on TV. I mean, he's so handsome. We all know that. But my humble beginnings in New England.
Right. Right.
We were just discussing the Zeke Elliott signing. A lot of people feel like it might be a little futile there as well because the cupboard's bare maybe outside of the running back room offensively for the Patriots. What did you think of Zeke going to the Pats?
Yeah, I think it makes some sense. I think that they, traditionally you look at the last, 4 or 5 years and, it was never a bell cow situation there. Rich, I think even when you were there, I'm trying to think like, Lawrence Maroney was around for a little while, but it was always, there was somebody else, whether it was Kevin Falk or, eventually James White. And, now the last couple of years, it's been Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris. Now Harris is gone, and we thought it was going to see, and now they're adding Ezekiel Elliott to the mix. Like, I just don't think it's in this offense's MO or this franchise's MO to just say, hey, ever since Corey Dillon, really, hey, let's get 1,500 yards with this one guy, right? So I think it's unfortunate for Ramondre Stevenson, fantasy people who had him targeted, as one of the top 10 backs in the league to use and to draft. It's going to make that a bit more complicated. But ultimately, I think it serves the Patriots well.
Who do you think's a better signing? Was it Zeke going to the Patriots or Dalvin Cook to the Jets?
Well, I think it's Dalvin to the Jets because of what's around him. And, also kind of interesting timing. Breece Hall comes off PUP today as well. So they signed Dalvin yesterday. Breece Hall comes off PUP, and now they're just, absolutely stacked at running back. I think Dalvin's just got a little bit more juice, whether that's based on, wear and tread on the tires or just the kind of player he is. I think Dalvin has just a little bit more to offer because he can run between, he can be a physical runner in between the tackles. And then obviously, he's one of the most elusive dudes around. So I think he's going to bring more potential production to the Jets. And then obviously throw in Breece Hall, at some point. I think, again, that's going to cloud the fantasy waters a little bit for all you folks out there. But, man, makes the Jets pretty scary on offense.
Rhett, the three young quarterbacks who are probably going to get the most playing time this year. I mean, Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young have both been confirmed as of this morning as the week one starters for their teams. CJ Stroud going to start the next preseason game. He looks like he's on track to be the week one starter. Out of those three guys, who are you seeing the best season from?
It's kind of intriguing because I think you could make a case for all three of them. Right? Like you can make the case that Bryce Young is, maybe the most talented and polished out of all three of those guys and ready to be the face of the franchise. Like that feels like Bryce Young. Anthony Richardson might be in the best situation because of what Shane Steichen has done in the recent past in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts and finding a way to tailor an offense, which is kind of the gist I got from what they were talking about in naming him the starter today. Like, hey, let's go build this offense now around Anthony and let's go. It's time. And so, I think he might be in the best situation, but I think he's also the most raw. So it's kind of like it's really tough to kind of make that determination. Then for Stroud, I think he gives you, a pure passer, who can get out of some trouble if you need him to. I don't think that any of them are particularly overloaded with weapons and with targets. I think they've got, they have enough, but it's not like we're talking about the Jets here in terms of skill position players. So I guess if you're making me choose one, I kind of feel like Richardson's going to have the chance just because of the athleticism is always going to give him an opportunity for production.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've been saying it just because you have the instant offense aspect of the dual threat quarterback also. Yeah. It just feels like they could get better real quick with Richardson. Rhett Lewis joining us, NFL Network this morning, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. All right, so when we turn our attention to a quarterback entering year two of his development or year three now, year two with Doug Peterson, like Trevor Lawrence, for example, right? You got a guy who last year had a breakout season that nobody seems to be talking about. I think he's on track to being arguably one of the best in the game. Can you talk me off of that, or do you feel similarly about Trevor Lawrence?
No, I do. I 100% feel similarly about it. I mean, like, there's a reason why we were talking about him as the second coming. It's like the next Andrew Luck and or Peyton Manning in terms of draft prospects. And I think what 2021 and 22 did for us was show us what kind of a difference leadership, culture, and coaching can make. And, that showed us, Doug Peterson, damn good coach in this league, great leader of a football team, and understands his players. And I think, Trevor Lawrence is only going to exponentially grow with Doug Peterson as his head coach. And the one thing that I'd say is, like, and you saw it in the preseason game, like, he can make so many of these throws that, I feel like sometimes that can be hard on a quarterback because you trust yourself so much. And with good reason. So I think he's just got to limit some turnovers, and we're going to be talking about a Pro Bowl year for Trevor Lawrence once again.
Rhett, we've talked Jets, we've talked Patriots, Jacksonville. I mean, we could throw the Bills in there. I mean, there's a list of teams, but as we list them all, are any of them better right now, as you're looking at them on paper, than the Chiefs?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the Chiefs are the chance until they're not, right? I mean, like, until we get into the season, and even what was it? Yeah, I almost forgot, like last season, or was it the year before, when they started out, at a sub 500 record through a couple of games, a couple of weeks of the season. You're like, oh my God, the sky is falling. Oh wait, no, it's not. They still have the best quarterback on the planet, and he can do whatever the hell he wants with, the best offensive genius in the game, and together they make the best head coach, coordinator, play caller, quarterback combination that perhaps we've ever seen. So I think they're always going to have enough as long as 87 is there and Travis Kelce ain't going anywhere. I'm curious to see how the offensive line holds up, because again, this is like the second time in 4 years that they have completely remade, especially on the tackles, that offensive line in front of Patrick Mahomes. So what does Juwan Taylor look like out there? How do they kind of keep Patrick healthy so that we're not talking about injuries, leading up to the postseason and into the Super Bowl again, like we were a year ago? Because that's the only thing that brings them down. As we saw in the Super Bowl, they lost to the Bucks. Is if Mahomes is just running for his life and unable to run with intention, which is where he's so good.
Rhett, I was hoping one of these guys would have to do it, but I think I do. What the hell do the 49ers do with Trey Lance?
Man, it is as perplexing a situation for a young quarterback as I've seen in a long time. I mean, just very rarely do you have the draft capital spent that the 49ers did to move up and get him, to shelve him for a year, essentially started a game or two due to injury his rookie year. Yeah, it was, whatever. Completely commit to him the next off season, run him out there until he gets hurt week 2 of last year. And now it's like the sky's falling and he's never going to play again. Maybe he needs to go to the CFL. Like, that's what everybody, I'm like, gee, what from calendar year, from July of last year to July of this year, like what happened other than the guy got hurt? Man, I don't know. I and my buddy Daniel Jeremiah, who lives down there in San Diego with you guys, and one of my buddies here on NFL Network, he kind of mentions, like, hey, maybe if the Falcons decide they're not sold on Desmond Ridder, maybe they make a play for Trey Lance. It sounds like I think he's got a home in the league. It just doesn't sound like it's going to be in San Francisco.
Wow.
That's exactly what we wanted to hear. Thank you.
Well, you've got a home right here on Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. You're always welcome.
Thanks,
we're talking to a superstar, Rhett Lewis, host on NFL Network, Hoosiers color analyst. Are you going to be doing that this upcoming fall?
You better believe it. Let's go.
I love it.
IU, Ohio State, kicking it off September 2nd. Big Ten on CBS.
Oh, I love it. How about that? Yeah. And then also, I mean, you guys are going to be heading out and playing Washington and Oregon soon. And, of course, USC and UCLA. It's all happening.
West Coast Bureau of the Big Ten right here, man. I'm here for it.
Sounds good. Rhett, thank you again for your time. We'll do it again soon, brother.
All right, friends. Y'all have a good one.
There goes Rhett Lewis, NFL Network. And coming up next, we dipped our toes into it. We got to talk about the Battle of the Billionaires and also a giveaway. We got to give away some of these concert tickets.
Let's do it right now.
All right.
Which one do you want to do right now?
Let's do the top one. Let's do Duran Duran.
Duran. Caller number 5 right now, 844-570-1360. They're going to be playing at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on August 22nd. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com or call number 5 right now. You're going.
I love it. August 22nd show, little Duran Duran. All right, coming up next, Zuck or Musk, and does it actually happen? We'll be right back.
The battle of the billionaires continues. The latest dust up between Musk and who? Oh, Zuckerberg. I couldn't remember the other guy's name. It's coming up next. Just please drink responsibly.
Diego, I'm always hanging out at San Diego Sports 760 with who? Big Rich, TD, and Fletch. Whammy!
Elon Musk is looking to hand out a whammy. So Mark Zuckerberg yesterday, I believe this was on Threads, put out a post that said, "I'm done with all this child's play. Elon's not serious about our battle."
That was Sunday.
Oh, that was Sunday.
That was
Okay.
Sunday. Yeah,
So
that
2
was
days ago.
Zuckerberg of listen, he clearly doesn't want to fight, and if he does, he knows where to reach me.
So then
Was that your
Elon-
impression?
Yeah, that's Zuckerberg.
It's more like, it's like Kermit. Like there's a little bit, I don't really think he wants to fight me.
It's just Facebook.
Just sign up for Meta. It's not easy being green.
Rich, can you please get back in your camera?
Oh, sorry. I keep wandering away. I'm Mark Zuckerberg. I don't want to fight Elon. No, not in ancient Rome. Tell him to get in the cage. Well, I don't know if this is actually going to happen at this point, but Elon Musk basically said he's going to show up to Mark's front door and kick his ass.
Yeah,
I thought he was going to send like an autonomous car.
Yeah, he wasn't actually going to drive. He was just going to put in the coordinates in his driverless vehicle, and the car was going to drive him there and knock on the door. And when Zuck answered, he was just going to beat his face in.
You guys do realize that this is a Hollywood script for a super villain movie.
Yeah.
Like this is what it actually looks like at the end of the world.
No,
This is Revenge of the Nerds 5.
I think they're teaming up and trying to get as many people as possible to talk about both of them. And this is just all some elaborate plot.
Well, that could be that this does help people go to X and it helps people go to Threads, sort of, because I haven't really gone to either, but I do click on whatever links to see what they actually said, because now Zuckerberg put on Threads, I am out of town and I have no interest fighting someone who randomly shows up at my house.
Oh my God. This is
listen, check
I'm
this
not going to
out.
be there that day. I'm going to be doing judo with some of my friends.
Dude, back in the day before like tech became what it is
Put on
now,
my gi.
these two guys would get their asses
rough
kicked
you up,
every
Musk.
day.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Without doubt. But don't you feel like Elon Musk would put a flaming bag of poo on Zuck's front porch?
100%.
Okay, would he then post a picture on X and hashtag nerd turd?
We have to give away so many tickets right now. All right, we're going to organize it this way. Let's do Darius Rucker right now. 844-570-1360. 844-570-1360 is the number to call right now. And you're going to go see Darius Rucker at Gallagher Square on August 25th. More information at Ticketmaster.com. Or you could just go ahead and be caller number 7 right now. Also, we have a pair of tickets to see Pantera at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater on August 26th. Again, you could go to Ticketmaster.com for those tickets, or you could call in right at 8:58. 8:58.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Nicely done.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Well, that's it. Who do we thank, Ben?
Hey, Mama Rock, Rhett Lewis.
Yeah,
and
Rhett
Mike
Lewis.
Reese. And sorry, I forgot his name, the king of cheese.
Wow. The big cheese?
Anthony Mangiello.
Yeah, Anthony Mangiello. Come
He's
on.
going to make us a calzone, and he's going to sprinkle a little powdered sugar on our Zeppelis.
Get over to the free iHeartRadio app. Check all those out, as well as our YouTube page at Big Rich TD Fletch. Subscribe, like it. You can watch the replay there. You can watch the full live show there. And in the comments of the live show from today, you can find a link to sign up to play a free round of golf with us, Big Rich, TD, and Fletch.
Awesome show,
which was
guys.
rated as an 11 by Aaron Zazara.
That's right. He said it was an 11 out of 10, not an 11 out of 100. No way. We'll see you tomorrow. The Herd's next. San Diego Sports 760.